Bowser has just kidnapped Princess Peach, and instead of just leaving it to the Broodals to stop me, he's done the unthinkable and tilted the entire world so much that I can slide right off. Is it still possible to beat the game like this? There's only one way to find out, so let's head on over to... Hat Kingdom is a brutal start since we have no choice but to do the one objective, which is to get up to the tower. But first, we need our hat. We can follow this railing along, but getting onto the bridge is awkward with the collision. So instead, we will jump past the bridge and walk onto the cliff edge to reach the gate and respond by jumping off the map gating cappy. After crossing the bridge, we use the lamps to make it to the door and enter the frog stage. We can use the water to swim up and then climb the entire level's wall to get out. The next bit is the hardest. We are up the tower and on the brim of the hat, and the only way that I can see to get up there is to use the lamps to climb up the cliff. It's really steep. If you fall, you're going back to the bottom. We can climb all the way up and finally deal with the boss. Luckily, the boss is pretty normal on his arena, so we can defeat him normally and reach Cascade. Cascade is a deceptively hard map. There's an easy looking moon that you should be able to grab, but... Hello? Where am I? Why can't I grab it? Okay, so that one's out. For the same reason, the 2D sections are also impossible. We can climb the area Madame Brutal normally is, and find her boss moons in the middle of the arena, but said arena is very flat and the center is very far away. But we can make it with a well-aimed cap bounce and dive. We only need 2 more moons. Luckily, there's one that's pretty much out in the open. The other is at the top of the map. Getting there won't be so easy. We can climb up the walls to the area with the chain chomps, and we can use the ribs sticking out the ground to climb up the wall. From there are a few rocks we can climb up further. Now we are on the edge, it's just a matter of walking on the cliff and making a careful jump to the last moon. We have to hop over to the Odyssey, and now we are confronted with the biggest curveball of the challenge. The desert is nasty. Not only do we have to deal with the very wide open flat areas, but we also have a particularly weird bug in this world. There are 2 Marios. They both share the same health, and if one dies, so do you. Luckily we start at the top of the map, so we can get to most areas straight away. I couldn't complete any story moons. For some reason they just aren't there, which means I'm locked out of a lot of potential moons. The Rumble moon still works. It works on the walls now for some reason. The entire poison room can be bypassed by getting on the ceiling, so I don't need to use bullet bills. We can snipe the bird out of the sky, but the position of where we hit it is important. We need to hit it near a building so that we can jump to the moon. If we slip past the poison lake, we can long jump to the moon that you normally need a Jaxie to beat. The Jaxie statue is still a moon that we can get, even if Harriet isn't there. After collecting a ton of moons that just require skydiving, I finally had enough to get out of here and enter the Lake Kingdom, which had its own unique twist waiting. The entire kingdom is flooded. There are very few places to get your breath back, and the angle of the map makes collecting ground pound moons impossible. Not only that, but there is a strict timer to beat Rango, else I drown. If we approach the fight using a Magikarp, wait, is that the right? It will give us just enough breath to take him out in time. The fish is really strong in this world in general, and using it we can capture the majority of moons needed to get us out. We still didn't have enough moons though. So I tried this one room with all these bright red blocks, but the map was tilted so deeply in clouds I couldn't see a thing. Looking for other venues, I discovered it's just barely impossible to reach the bottom of the well to meet Captain Toad's Mario, as the angle you travel at forces you to walk the whole way down. I tried using Magikarp again, and discovered that you couldn't even talk to Toad to begin with. The slope is just too steep. After some searching, I found a challenge scarecrow thingy. I discovered here that they are absolutely easy, since the tilting removes the initial challenge to begin with. So after cheating that, I finally had enough moons to head to the Wooded Kingdom. Wooded was a fun time! Being a vertical map already, I really got to play about here. The trees I could climb up no problem, and I could even get this nut moon without even the need of a capture. Speaking of captures, I discovered the Fire Bro is really strong, since his little hops can ignore the slopes that Mario normally slides down. After collecting a few easy moons, I faced Spear, and this was the first boss fight I had to really deal with the tilted map properly, and it wasn't fun. Spear could easily hit me, but I couldn't hit him back since he was so high up. I had no choice but to survive his attacks until he came down lower. There were some rocks just barely in reach that gave me some health to make the fight easier. I started to get a rhythm for his unpredictable behavior and took him out midair, literally. I claimed the moons for myself and headed to fight Torque Drift, the easiest boss in the game. Bowser's Gate was in the way though, but due to some phasing magic I happen to know, I teleported for defense. Yeah, no, there was just no collision on it for some reason. I was shocked to discover Mr. Drift's fight was entirely left alone. I guess he just sucked that much that making his boss fight tilted would contribute absolutely nothing. It was a nice break at least. I checked out the Dark Woods, but nothing was accessible, so I got out of there. Most regular moons were easy, since they usually just put them onto walls. I can walk on that now, and with that, I could move on to the Metro Kingdom. Oh, what fresh hell is this? I have to beat Bowser in the clouds? How can I see? Don't ask how, I won. Not that I can show you, because it looked like this the whole time. There were a few moments I was getting glimpses of the fight, and it was usually better at the bottom of the arena, so I goaded him into fighting me down there. But this was painful. Lost Kingdom. Even writing my script, I totally forgot about this kingdom even existing. With the island being covered in poison, I can get killed in one go, so it's important I don't fall off too often, and I can't lose Cappy to that damn bird. The cage moon that you normally need to break has the moon clipping outside it, just enough that I can grab it from the outside. We can use the gliding gecko guy to get around parts on the map that would normally be pretty hard to reach. We can also still ground pound the pillars on the side and they work. Oh well, free moon. The moon hiding under the bridge is still tricky but achievable. For the most part, this kingdom was just a really quick detour, and I guess it's always been. I got all the moons for this one quick. It took me like 10 minutes to beat this one. You see how easy most of these moons are? Look at that. Anyways, on to the next place. Yo, check it out. Know how people used to say this jump was impossible? What were they even talking about? Just long jump. Idiots. Metro is fun. Okay, so the Mecha Wiggler fight doesn't work anymore, so it's just moons on top of the tower now. The swaying in the breeze moon looks like it might be scary, but you can survive it without dying. Despite the protests from the tanks, I climbed up the tower and set the city to its normal daytime state. The city looks so weird with it trying to adjust to its new tilted world. The humans don't even seem to mind the slopes. There's a lot of easy moons in this world, like Girder Sandwich, Bullet Building, and Mayor Pauline's Musician Hunt. I wanted to do the festival, but getting the power plant sorted was basically impossible, due to the camera fighting me too much. I did get the hidden moon in the sewer at least, so it wasn't a complete waste of time. One of the most fun moons was having to grab a moon on a timer while fighting through a crowd. Because the crowd is walking downhill, I can't jump on their heads like you're normally supposed to, and I was forced to push through them. There's not much more to say about this kingdom specifically because it's honestly such an easy kingdom. Tilting the map makes it easier. So next up, this is an evil map. Unlike the Lake Kingdom, they did the complete opposite and removed the water, then put us on the bottom of the map. Seaside Kingdom is such a flat map. How am I to get any Oh, that's an easy one. Never mind. Seaside is definitely the toughest map. Main saving grace is the octopus enemies. They can shoot me up in the air, but only by so much, and for so long before they need water again. Water which they can't get. Some of the story moons are also bugged and I can't get their moons. A few I can, which I won't complain about. This world contains a lot of moons you're supposed to ground pound on, but this map is the steepest so far, and I can't hit any of them. To get around, I need to rely on the octopi, random rocks, coral, and the slightest small amount of sand to climb up. If I fall, I'm going all the way down, as if this was a twisted version of getting over it. Far top of the map is the Sphinx. Somehow it's possible to stand here in this little podium and talk to him, giving us another moon. Dory the dinosaur was another moon, which, similarly to the bird in Sound Kingdom, it was important where you got her. Using the octopus, we waited and got under her to collect the moon. Now normally, all of the shops in this mod are broken, but what I discovered with Dory's is that her shop actually works. So using the small amount of purple coins I found, I actually got a new hat. Check that out. The last two moons were in a place I forgot to check. Back in the water at the bottom. One out in the open, and another was in this cave that led me to an octopus-filled canyon. I finally had enough and could move on to Snow Kingdom. I don't know what happened with Snow Kingdom. The creator of the mod just gave out a ton of moons inside Shiveria. Because I was on a deadline, I didn't explore it much, so there wasn't as much to talk about. While it looks tricky, you can use the ice crystals here to enter the icicle cavern. I could get to the other side pretty quickly and claim this moon here. There was supposed to be a moon hiding in the snow, but instead it was on the ceiling. Wind-chilled cavern seemed really hard since the clouds blow you off, but then I realized I could just dive to the bottom for this free moon. Finally, inside the hollow crevasse, I had to gather moon fragments, but because of the cold water, I was able to climb up the map. Halfway through though, I spotted a hidden moon and ran for that instead, and surprisingly, that was already it. I was a little disappointed. I kinda wanted to do a bit more on this map, but I had to get moving on. Luncheon Kingdom was a deceptively easy map. It's very horizontal, so you think it would be a challenge, but the map is tilted in a way that you're at the top of the map, like in Sand Kingdom. The other thing was that the mechanics of this kingdom just don't really get impeded as much. The lava enemies let me move around the map with ease, and because of the tilting, I could take them to parts that they weren't supposed to normally get to. Spirit was back, but this time the map was a lot nicer to me, and I could beat him for his moon pretty easily. The funny thing is, you can actually just steal his moon and run away from him. There's no arena bounds, but he does chase you forever. Because of this, you can get a glitch where you can collect the same moon twice, though it doesn't count as 2 separate moons though. Oh, we got to gamble for some moons, made a really nice stew, broke someone's property, and even swam through lava to get to a crag. I went to face Big Bird, but sadly her boss fight wasn't possible in this mod, so I had to get the 3 moons given to me. The last 2 things I did was destroy an easy timer challenge, then lit this torch for a Zelda puzzle, and that was enough to move on to. Nothing like fighting a Dark Souls looking dragon to get the blood pumping, eh? Sadly, it's a pretty boring fight. The tilt is pretty minimal, and the fog isn't that thick. I can see what I'm doing. The only thing I did differently was try to stay on the right, since it was easier to jump on the dragon that way. The game expects us to ignore moons for now, so that's what I did. I think it might be possible to long jump to the end, but I didn't do that for the sake of fun. We get to the first courtyard and discover the gate guardian is actually pretty tough to beat. The problem being the time to hit him and the angle to do it, it's very specific. The next courtyard, I gathered all the moon fragments and got another moon for it. I passed by the gift shop. Why does an evil villain have a gift shop? Then passed by the Brutal's boss fight. Those fights weren't available, so I had to bypass the whole thing. There's an invisible wall that prevents Mario from passing the gate, but since he can walk on it, we just gotta walk up to the top of the wall, which gets really high, mind you. At the top of the keep is the Brutal mech boss fight. Again, not here, and I collect its moon. Only now am I being tasked with gathering all the moons. I found a moon behind this turret. I tried to gift shop statue shrine, but it didn't work for some reason. Maybe it's because I'm squint, but because of the camera angle, I can't get myself in the right angle. There was a moon hidden behind this gate, another Brutal moon I missed, and finally a moon under this moat. And that was enough to go to the moon. There's no moons, and the church is a single long jump away. So it was time to go fight Bowser for the last time. This fight was nowhere near as annoying, but for some reason, I could slip off the map whenever I hurt Bowser. So I need to make sure I was positioned in a way where that won't happen. Some more fighting in a decently burnt butt later. Seriously, how is that hitting me? And we defeat him. The last section barely has any tilt as we control Bowser. We fight through the caverns and even get to do a 2D section without breaking anything and take out the final pillars, allowing us to escape to the surface of the moon. And that's it! Even with Bowser doing everything he possibly can to stop me, even turning the very world against me, literally, we have proven, yes, you can beat Mario Odyssey with a super tilted map. Hang on. What about the Mushroom Kingdom? Since peace has finally hit the world with Bowser's defeat, the world is no longer tilted, meaning Mario can have a well-earned break. But I'm sure there will be more adventures and curveballs for us in the future. If you like this video, please consider giving it a like, and maybe consider subscribing, as it would do a ton for me for YouTube to acknowledge my existence. Remember, not even the walls can contain you, and I'll see you later. Bye!